Hello, it's Carly McAvoy. I want to show you a few things about uh, equation editor in Word because so many people now need to use it. And so if you were in Word and you wanted to start using it regularly, it might be very useful to put it on your toolbar. So if you go up here to Insert and then you come over here to the far right at the top, you can see you could click on Equation. Now if you were just going to do it one time, you probably wouldn't want to put it on your toolbar, but if you're going to use it multiple times, it's easier then to right click on that and then just say add to quick access toolbar. And now you can see that I have the equation editor. It looks like a pi symbol that's directly up there. Next thing I want to do is insert an equation. Let's say I want to insert an equation right here. I would just, wherever my cursor is, if I click on that, it's going to be ready to type. And you can see that automatically I get a lot of symbols. And it does kind of puts things into a nice format. Let's say I wanted to do 5 plus 7 squared. I can do 7 and then I can use that caret button and put the 2 and then put a space, and that's going to put 7 to the second power. Notice that my next word is right there. I don't want it. I could put a couple spaces in there if I want to, and then I can put spaces around it on either side in there. I don't know why equation is now misspelled, but it's fine. But let's go back to this, and let's say that I don't want to type that in using that shortcut. Well, that's fine. Now I want to type in here, but now I'm inside here, and this is some of the troubleshooting. I don't have that equation editor anymore. I don't have any of those buttons. And how do I get it? Well, if you go to the top, you'll see equation, and if you click back on that, it'll give you back to those tools. So let's say that you want to put 7 squared using their tool. You can click on this, and it will give you a chance to then choose this. And you could put 7, and then you can arrow over and with your right arrow to the next thing to put 7 to the second power, let's say. If you put an equation, insert an equation where there's nothing else on the line, you just go up here and click on it. It automatically puts it in what it's called display mode. So it's in the middle of your page because it thinks, hey, that's the only thing that's here, might as well be. Let's say I put in a fraction. I can put in a fraction a couple of different ways, but I could do, let's say, 17/5. And then I'm like, I really don't want that to be in the middle of the page. Well, just click on the down arrow and you can put in change to inline, and that will just put it back over, and it also makes it smaller. While it's here, I can go back up to home and change the size of that if I want to. All right, so I can always do those kind of things, change the color, size, just like you could anything else as long as it's highlighted. You can also just delete it. If you click and there's nothing else on the line, unless you do inline, it's going to jump to that display mode. The most common uses, that most commonly used tools, I would say, are those exponent buttons and the fraction buttons. But you can also look over here and say, well, this isn't everything that I want. Click on the down button and you'll see more symbols. So if you wanted to put in some of the more common ones, you probably already would have seen them. Let me get my picture out of here. But if you needed something else, you can go down and see that you have some Greek symbols that you might want to add in, like pi and things like that. I use this dot as a multiplication symbol. So, but let's say you wanted to enter something like a angle sign for a geometry lesson. If you come up here where it says basic math and do a drop down, you can see that there's other things. So I could choose geometry, and these are symbols that are commonly used for geometry. Or I could do all different kinds of arrows if I wanted to do that. Or operators, if I was looking for operators. There's all kinds of different things that you can do by looking at these different ones. It defaults to basic math, and that's what I use most of the time for like less than equal to or greater than equal to, those kind of things. That's the default, but remember that there's this drop down list that will give you all kinds of things, like the Greek letters, for instance, lowercase and uppercase. So the other thing that's just commonly used are things that are over here, like maybe you want to put maybe the answer is 17 with a repeating 3. Well, then how do I do a line over that? I go up here to the accent and I choose this right here where I see a bar over the top. So there would be 17 with 3 repeating. Or you might have X bar for statistics that you want to put in there, or X hat or something, anything that you want to put in. Notice once I tab and put something else in there, it's going to take that back into inline mode. You can add brackets and parentheses and things like that. The nice thing about parentheses, when you put those in, instead of just typing them off your keyboard, if you put them in here and then you enter, let's say, a fraction, those parentheses grow with your fraction. So instead of just having these really small parentheses with the fraction in there, it grows, and so it makes it sort of nice to use. Let me think of something. Oh, some shortcuts. Yeah, I wanted to talk about a couple of those. I already showed you the shortcut for the exponent. Also a shortcut for fractions if I want to do 5/7, let's say 5 just /7, and then when you hit space, it's automatically going to make that that into a fraction. So those are kind of those, the exponent and the fraction are probably the most common. You could do a mixed number also. You could do 5 space 1/2 like that, and then it'll be, there's a mixed number in that format. So there's things to do. You can also, of course, do all kinds of different, any letters or variables or whatever in there. It doesn't do that well with a lot of words. So if you're going to have words in the middle of something, you probably want to do one equation, then have words, then another equation, that kind of thing. And I was going to think there was something else I was going to say, is that sometimes you run into trouble with, but a lot of the times what I run into trouble with, used to run into trouble with just being an equation and then not having those buttons, and it kind of really helped to know about that equation button. So hopefully that helps. You can always go back in and edit an equation. You want to remember when you go in to edit, if you wanted to change the 2, for instance, you could use an arrow, back arrow, and it's going to take you down there to the 2. If you go back again, it's going to just kind of work its way backwards through that equation, so you can edit things that way. But you can also just click directly where you want to edit and do it that way as well. Okay, I hope this video helps, and I'll talk to you next time.